doing a video that's just a little bit behind the times, but I thought it looked like a lot of fun to do. This is the All About My Eyeshadow Palettes tag that was created by Samantha March and Allie Glines. So basically I'm going to go through my palettes and talk about the ones that meet certain categories in each one. Some of them I'm going to talk about too because some of them technically fall into multiple categories. I'm going to give you kind of a runner-up so I don't mention the same one every single time. I would love to hear if you guys have done this one. Leave it down below, or if you have answers that you just want to put in the comments, I would also love to hear that. First up is the newest palette, and I'm actually going to count these smaller palettes, so these like quads, as palettes as well because I consider them palettes in my mind. So there are technically two that I bought at the same exact time from Target. This is the e.l.f. Bite-Size Eyeshadow in Rose Water, and so it's like a pinky rose gold type color. And then the Makeup Geek I'm Peachless newer quads that they had at Target. So those are my two newest ones. I picked those up a couple weeks ago. I have the Makeup Geek one on my eyes today. I really, really like the more bright and warmer tones. I think those are really flattering on my darker eyes. So I'm excited about those. My oldest, I've actually taken out of the packaging, so I just have it in like a random palette. But this is the Urban Decay palette, and this one was the 15th anniversary palette. I have had this one for a really, really long time. I tried to depot some of the colors that I really liked, like Omen, this purple here, I really liked. And I couldn't make it happen, and I didn't want to destroy the palette because I still love these colors, and it's kind of sentimental for me because it was one of the first big palettes that I bought when I started getting into makeup. This one's not available anymore, obviously, because it's pretty old. It's probably shouldn't still be used, but I hang on to it anyway. Next is most expensive palette, which I think is technically that one. I think that one was $65 when I bought it. That's about my threshold. I have never bought palettes that are kind of above and beyond that. It's not necessarily my thing. I think the next most expensive would be my Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. So this one would be $49, I think is what they cost now. So that I think is my next most expensive. So for least expensive palette, that would probably be this little bite-sized e.l.f. one. I think this one was like $3.99. But as a runner-up to that, these Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes, I think this one's $4.99 or $5.99. So this one's like the dupe of the Modern Renaissance palette. And then I also have the Comfort Zone one. Those are probably my next level of least expensive. The next one is an everyday palette, and I think personally for me, I think one of the most usable everyday palettes that you can get a ton of versatile looks from is the Lorac Pro Volume 1 palette. This one, I have been through one already that I fully panned. I did a pan that palette a few years back that I panned it, and then I actually rebought it because I think it's such a great palette. So it's got the row of mattes, row of shimmers. I've already hit pan in a few of these on the second round of this. These light and neutral colors are great, and you can also smoke it out and be more dramatic. So I think this one works beautifully for every day, no matter kind of what look you like to go for. Next up is most colorful, and this one definitely goes to the Morphe James Charles palette. This one is definitely my most colorful. If I'm looking for colors, this is the one I can reach for because it's got such a variety there that I can play with. So this one definitely is the most colorful. And then skipping down a question, this one's also my biggest palette. This one is huge. The runner-up for that, since I've already mentioned that for one, is the Zodiac palette by BH Cosmetics. This one also is pretty big and bulky. It's got lots of really pretty colors in it. This one's also pretty colorful. But the James Charles one is definitely my biggest, but this one follows close behind. On the other side of that, the smallest palette, so I've already mentioned the bite-size one a couple times. That's probably my smallest. But my next smallest would be this little Natasha Denona Mini Lila palette. I bought this because it was on sale. I think it was like 12 bucks. The eyeshadows in this are teeny, teeny, tiny, but they are pretty and it works fine. This one, I don't know that I would ever buy a Natasha Denona full-size palette just because this did not wow me. But it is cute and tiny and easy to travel with. The next one is Best Memory. And this one I had kind of a hard time figuring out because I don't necessarily have a ton of memories with a lot of my palettes. I had my Naked palette that I wore for my wedding, but I don't really own that one anymore because I depotted it and got rid of the rest of it. So the one that I would say is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette. And this one, it's really not because of the palette itself, but my mom got this for me for Christmas one year, and I love the idea that she is interested in makeup. She knows that I love makeup, and she's willing to get me this palette. So this was a few years back, but she's willing to get me a palette that she knows that I'm really interested in, that I love. So yeah, This one. Alright, so the next category is worth the hype, and for that I would say the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. I absolutely adore this palette. I think that it's got beautiful colors in there. I think the warm tones are great. I love the quality. I think it wears really nicely. The brush actually is really great. I think that this one was kind of the start of the warm tone trends, and I think it totally deserved it because it is a gorgeous palette. One that is not worth the hype in my opinion was this Master palette by Mario, which is also by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This one came out and it was limited edition. Everybody raved about it. Everybody needed to have it. I didn't buy it right away. I waited and then I couldn't find it anywhere. So I ended up buying it on Poshmark, I think, eventually. And it's fine. Like, it's pretty. But really, I only end up using the same couple of shades, and I feel like my look looks the same no matter what I use in here anyway. I just don't know that it was... I wish I hadn't gotten it because I just didn't need it. The quality is still good. I like the quality of Anastasia Beverly Hills shadows, but I just didn't need it, and I feel like it wasn't as amazing as all the hype built up for it. Next up is favorite palette from a favorite brand. I really like the Lorac Pro palettes. I do think they're great. I ended up decluttering several of them. The third one was not great, but this one I think is the best of the best. So this one is the Mega Pro 3, and this one was what I really wanted the Pro 3 to be. That was a little bit smaller. I love the warm tones in this. Again, they have the mattes, they have the shimmers, they have a variety of light and dark, and I feel like I'm just always happy with the looks that I get from this one. So this one is definitely my favorite from Lorac. I think it's the most suitable for me and I really enjoy it. I don't reach for it nearly enough, but I do think it's a beautiful, beautiful palette. And then the last one that I have here is the most used palette. So for me, this one actually ends up being the Tarte Clay Play palette, and this one was the volume 1, and it is so basic and so boring, but this is the palette that I pair with everything. So I always go in and I will use these colors to work to blend out my crease and transitions. I will darken up my crease and transitions with these colors. I use this every single time I put on makeup to do that because it helps so much. It smells really good, but it's so versatile and useful in pairing with palettes that really don't work on their own. That is it for this tag video about my eyeshadow palettes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please share with me down in the comments if you guys have filmed this video and put it on your channel, or if you just want to write the answers. I would be curious to know. I love eyeshadow. It's one of my favorite things, and I feel like I have the hardest time parting with eyeshadow palettes because I love them and they're a lot of fun. So I would just love to hear your opinions on different types of eyeshadow palettes. I'm sure that my opinions probably don't match all of yours. Not everybody loves the Lorac formula like I do, but those are my thoughts. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video.